Hey guys, this is Letters to You in 198. This one's called Sacred Fire. Dear Ewan, I joke that my biggest flex from adulthood is that my gums don't bleed when I floss. My biggest contribution to my family is that I learned that sponges get stinky when they aren't rinsed out properly. Yesterday I told my dad, I think these sponges are dead. Can I throw them away? Sure, he replied. No gears grinded. Ground? I threw the sponges away. Today there were two brand new ones on the sink. One was wet and full of soap. I said, these get stinky when we don't wring them out after using them. Oh, well, I didn't know that. I guess I never learned that, he said. Smooth clutch. Update achieved. Drama rating 0. I learned that from Reverend William. He was my third teacher in the Order of Christ Sophia. He was the priest I lived with in Denver, who was my most consistent teacher I've ever had. He hated stinky sponges. I remember feeling embarrassed when he'd remind me to wring out the sponges after I had used them. It's fucking soap, isn't it clean? It's the journey of all people to find sacred fire outside of their families. It's a grace that allows them to bring this sacred fire back home to the ones we love and have them receive it. So my guess is that a healthy bar is that the most sacred fire will not and should not be brought back explicitly. It should be contained and only explicitly enjoyed by whoever wrested it from Prometheus. He was the god of foresight who gave fire to humans because he thought they looked cold and was punished by Zeus. He was chained to a rock and an eagle ate his liver every day. He was a god, so it kept growing back. Off the cuff, the eagle eating the liver is the sensation of containing all the fire that we can't formally bring back. Most parents aren't like, oh, you went to college and saw so many things and certainly learned things we don't know, and we're all excited to enthusiastically update our familial culture. My sister came back from college one year and said, we're changing the mashed potato recipe for Christmas. I seem to remember everyone curious about what my grandparents would say. We had used their mashed potato recipe my whole life, and I think the whole lives of everybody else. She said, we're having garlic mashed potatoes this year, with determination in her eyes. It was a ton of garlic. When everybody got ready to eat it, my memory has us all watching my grandfather to see what he would say. He took his first bite and looked surprised. It was clear that this new recipe was superior. I remember him giving his blessing, and that became the new recipe. I'm curious what sacred fire is and is made of and what it's doing. Some part of being a family is sharing some values, right? But if we don't get inputs from the greater world, then aren't we slightly informationally inbred? My mind goes to green bean casserole and potatoes au gratin. I assert that the recipes for both those that were circulating in the US during the 80s were inbred. I can't imagine anybody liked them. They just didn't know that we could add different spices or just not eat them. I didn't like green beans until I had Sichuan style green beans. That's pretty far afield to go. It's our job to go outside the groups we're in to find our joy and love. It's our job to come back to the groups we're in and share what we can with them and to not share what we can't with them. Where we can't not share what we found with them, but we still try, we are using the sacred fire to burn. Some people need to see looking warm for years before they're ready to ask how we're generating the heat. They might not ever ask. When we don't force the fire on them, we're acknowledging that some of the warmth that we're feeling, that we're not forcing them to feel, is felt anyway through our graciousness to hold the sacred fire internally and let those around us feel the heat in a, from our perspective, very removed way. When someone tries to gossip with me, I don't reference the Eightfold Path. I don't reference right speech. I used to deflect to other things. I don't do it as much now. I wait and hold the fire and don't expect them to change. I get curious about them and will reflect them and maybe get curious about their experience. But I don't let my curiosity be a hack to smuggle change at them. Every inch I do that, I let go of 1 inch of fire in me. I think that's part of why I can tell my dad that his sponges stink and how to prevent it. I think the fire in me is keeping me warm, and we mind less taking updates from people in secure warmth. I wish all people all the fire they desire and the will to stay warm, and trust that everyone's path to warmth is happening in the right time. In 30 minutes, I'm going to start a medicine journey with my dad. He told me that he's a little worried about death and asked if I knew anything about mushrooms. My intention is to hold my fire and appreciate the love we've always been in. Wish me luck, Mike.